Right. It's not the worst thing. Yeah. More than nice, like a little less strict.
I'll call the Board of Commissioners meeting to order for August 16th, 2023. It's nice to see veteran Don Bradley back with us today, who's going to lead us in the pledge, and our county engineer, John Kleinitz, who will lead us in the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could be in an attitude of prayer, please. Lord, we pause this morning to thank you for the blessings you bestow on us every day. In this time of county governance, we ask that you watch over us and guide us to make good decisions. Let us embrace the timely prayer for the world, as beautifully expressed by Rabbi Harold Kushner. Let the rain come and wash away the ancient grudges, the bitter hatreds held and nurtured over generations. Let the rain wash away the memory of the hurt, the neglect. Then let the sun come out and fill the sky with rainbows. Let the warmth of the sun heal us wherever we are broken. Let it burn away the fog so that we may see each other clearly, so that we can see beyond labels, beyond accents, gender, or skin color. Let the warmth and brightness of the sun melt our selfishness so that we can share the joys and feel the sorrows of our neighbors. And let the light of the sun be so strong that we will see all people as our neighbors. Let the earth, nourished by rain, bring forth flowers to surround us with beauty. And let the mountains teach our hearts to reach upward to heaven. Amen.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 2 on the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the August 2nd, 2023 Board of Commissioners meeting as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I will open it up for any public comment relating to items on the agenda. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items for the Office of Children, Youth, and Families and the Area Agency on Aging.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Claire?
Good morning. If you notice, John and I color coordinated
Yeah.
with Taylor. So what you're going to see, you're actually going to see a lot of things on the consent agenda today. A lot of those are the routine contracts and agreements from our aging office, just on different services. It's that time of year when we're renewing our contracts for the new fiscal year. One thing that you will see from a little bit later is the trying to find what page. It's a contract for yoga services for a program called GEM. It's for kiddos involved with CYF. And GEM stands for Girls Empowerment Movement. Great program. Uses yoga as a way to manage stress, learn, things along that line. Unfortunately, you get to hear a lot from me today. I have a little presentation later at the end of this. So, any questions right now? Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, we'll move on to new business.
I make a motion to ratify a purchase between the County of York on behalf of the Office of Elections and Voter Registration and William Penn Printing, Pittsburgh, PA, for election supplies for the 2023 general election and 2024 election cycle for a total cost of $11,492.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I make a motion to ratify a declaration of disaster emergency for the County of York, Pennsylvania, pursuant to Title 35, Section 7501 of the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Services Code, originally signed on August 8, 2023, declaring the existence of a disaster emergency in the County of York arising from severe storm conditions on August 7, 2023.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I do want to share some information with folks. First of all, just to give folks an update, over 200 homes were impacted due to the storm and over 70 businesses that we're aware of thus far. Water and power has been completely restored. All state roads are open. Initially, there were 20 state roads that were closed. They're all open now. Our emergency management team is continuing to work with the Planning Commission and the local municipalities to ensure some of the smaller roads are getting open. There's a flyer that you can find on the emergency management social media page. I have it up here. If you have experienced damage and you haven't reported, please do so. It's very important that we have that information so that we can supply that to PEMA and FEMA. So there's just the example of the flyer. The email's noted there. Also, there's a phone number to call if you have difficulty in accessing the email or social media. And then just lastly, just want to give a big thanks to our emergency management team who worked a lot of long hours, as well as our emergency responders in the southern part of the county. Lots of volunteers who were out there helping. And then also, thank you to our colleagues in Dauphin County who sent some folks down to help our emergency management staff. Okay. Any further discussion?
I would just add on, echo what Julie said. Our emergency management organizations did a great job. They sent in emails prior to the storm, saying that they were getting organized and getting volunteers on board. So kudos to them for what the job they did.
Okay, great. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I make a motion to ratify the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development Election Integrity Grant Program contract for the period of July 1st, 2023 through June 30, 2024. Pursuant to this contract, the County of York will receive $1,623,353.03 in Election Integrity Grant Program funding for the purpose of administering elections for the period of July 1st, 2023 through June 30, 2024. Act 88 of the Pennsylvania Election Code establishes this grant program and imposes restrictions on the acceptable uses of these grant funds.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I make a motion to approve a contract between the County of York on behalf of the Youth Development Center and Cumberland County Children Youth Services to house youth at the
Oh, sorry, Doug.
York County Youth Development Center at a daily rate of $576.50 for the period of July 1st, 2023 to June 30, 2024.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I know, Claire, there's a bunch of motions, so I just want to give you an opportunity. Were there any that you wanted to comment on, or just at the end for your block grant?
Just at the end.
Okay. Okay. All right. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I make a motion to approve the 2024-2025 Children, Youth, and Families Needs-Based Plan Narrative on behalf of the York County Office of Children, Youth, and Families to the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services, Office of Children, Youth, and Families, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, for the period of July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I make a motion to approve a one-year contract agreement between the County of York on behalf of voters' registration elections and Easy Vote Solutions, Woodstock, Georgia, to provide a poll worker database and campaign finance database for a total cost of $18,000.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I make a motion to approve a change order 01-3 to the contract for electrical construction regarding the central booking relocation project with DM Electric LLC in the amount of $3,107.32 for changes in the electrical work to accommodate the substitute remote terminal unit approved in a previous change order.
$3,117.32.
Okay, did I read it wrong?
Yeah.
And I'll second that.
All
All right,
right.
so
Motion and a second. Hi, John.
Just to correct that, it's actually a rooftop unit. Someone took the RTU and turned it into remote terminal. It's a rooftop unit. It actually goes with the next motion, so I just wanted to explain
okay.
that. We substituted the rooftop unit equipment, and that required some electrical changes.
okay.
So that's what this motion is, so it's Commissioner Smith.
So
was
remote
correct.
terminal
It's
unit.
311732, and it's a rooftop unit.
Okay.
So we're putting rooftop
Yeah, change.
terminal, okay. I will second the amendment.
Amendment?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I'll make a motion to ratify change order M001 with Freilich Corporation, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, for the central booking relocation project in the amount of $49,315.86. This change order is to secure an upgraded HVAC unit due to excessive wait times for the specified unit.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Clarify this, with the supply chain issue reared its ugly head on the project pretty early in the project. We went to order the HVAC unit, the rooftop unit, and the specified unit was going to take about 35 weeks to get, which would have been right after the project's over. So we were able to find another unit with the same manufacturer that worked, and we could get within 15 weeks. So this is, it's not a wasted cost. You're actually getting a good piece of equipment, and you're getting it within the time frame for the project. So just to explain that.
So just to clarify for the prison board and the prison, the central booking project is on schedule or is not on schedule as far as completion?
It's currently on schedule. Now, the paper schedule for the contract, I believe, is completion by February. We're pushing the contractor to be done by December, but that's just me. But yeah, it's on schedule.
Okay,
And
good.
we just had a job conference yesterday. There's lots of dirt flying.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, John. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I make a motion to approve the sub-grantee agreement between the County of York and the York County Economic Alliance for the development and execution of a construction-based workforce development program consistent with the Whole Home Repairs Program funded through the DCED ARPA allocation. The agreement total is $1,200,000, paid in 3 installments between September 1st, 2023 and September 1st, 2025.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I just want to share a couple comments that will apply to motion number 9 and motion number 10 for folks. So the source of funds for these two motions is given to the county through the General Appropriations Act of 2022, which was approved by the Pennsylvania General Assembly, which appropriated federal COVID-19 funds to DCED for the ARPA Whole Home Repairs Program. So counties were allocated the funds based on a formula that included census data for medium incomes, homes by size, year of construction, and there's some other conditions in there. So based on the formula, York County was eligible to receive a little over $3.8 million upon approval of the application to DCED. There's 3 eligible uses of the funds: loans to homeowners and landlords, to enhance other existing housing programs, and then workforce development for trades that improve habitability. The York County Planning Commission is addressing the first 2 eligible uses, and the York County Economic Alliance is addressing the third, which is workforce development. The budget for the first 2, the budget for YCEA is $1.2 million, and the rest of that is budgeted for the 2 programs that are being led by the Planning Commission. So that's what these 2 motions entail on the agenda today.
And I see Caitlin's here, and from the Planning Commission. I know Julie went over the ramification stuff. Is there something that you can provide to the community that they can access these funds, how they apply for them and things?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So we do have a full wait list of folks that are eagerly anticipating home renovations and repairs in their homes. We have started work this past week, and so we're very excited about that. We have several jobs that are underway, and our staff has been very, very busy qualifying individuals and families for assistance. There are several other pieces to this that include some help available to small landlords, and so we haven't gotten to that piece yet. We're just working on the single-family homes at this point, but we do have at least 4 jobs underway and several that are just awaiting the bidding process and procurement things. But otherwise, we're underway and very excited about that process beginning, so.
Good.
Thanks.
If you have
Sure
any
there's a
other
lot of
questions.
interest in the program.
It's, yes, very, very high demand, and we're eagerly awaiting too to see if there will be further funds coming through the state or federal government, down the line. But at this point, this is a approximately 3-year program spending by the end of 2026.
Thanks. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I make a motion to approve the service agreement between the County of York and the York County Planning Commission to administer the whole home repairs program on behalf of the county for a maximum of $430,384.48. Eligible expenses reimbursed will be incurred between April 1st, 2023 and December 31st, 2026.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I make a motion to approve, motion on behalf of the Community Development Department of the York County Planning Commission, authorizing and directing the commissioners to execute the following amendments to subsequent agreements for activities included in the Adoption York County 2020 Annual Action Plan as amended for funding from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, Washington, D.C., and there is listed in the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I make a motion on behalf of the Community Development Department of the York County Planning Commission, authorizing and directing the commissioners to approve the following amendments to increase grant amounts for activities in the adopted 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022 York County Annual Action Plan for funding from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, Washington, D.C., and there is listed in the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I'll make a motion to approve a contract agreement between the County of York on behalf of the Clerk of Courts and Catalyst Alpharetta, Georgia, to provide payment processing service for a 3-year period at a fee per transaction cost as set forth in the agreement.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I'll make a motion to approve a contract agreement between the County of York on behalf of Pathonetary and Telesoft, Inc., York, Pennsylvania, to provide a judgment integration model for a total cost of $83,722, paid for by county record improvement funds.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I know our Pathonetary is joining us today. I think has a few comments to make.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I did not coordinate with John and Claire, but I did get you guys some yellow, We're excited about this module. Our case management vendor, Telesoft, which is a York-based company, developed this module. What it will do is automate workflow from the Clerk of Court's office to the Pathonetary's office. When the Clerk of Courts is pursuing costs and restitution, they can file judgments, and this module will automate the workflow between their office and our office in the automatic creation of cases and docketing of cases, over 11,000 filings per year, and it will save hundreds of man-hours between both of our offices. So we're excited to get this implemented.
Great. Any further discussion or questions?
And I see Dan's here, our Clerk of Courts. Thanks for coming and the good work.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve the submission of a grant application on behalf of the coroner to the Center for Disease Control Foundation, Atlanta, Georgia, in the amount of $100,000 for data modernization by utilizing fast healthcare interoperability resources for healthcare data exchange, specifically toxicology data exchange between NMS Labs and Cohero, the York County's Coroner's Office case management software program vendor, for a period of 9/30/2023 to 9/30/2025.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve a purchase between the County of York on behalf of the Facilities Management Department and Tanner Furniture, Harrisburg, PA, for systems furniture cubicles to be used by the Department of Voter Registration Elections for ballot scanning stations for a total cost of $21,463.66 under a PA CoStarz contract.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve the purchase and installation of office furniture for Magisterial District Court 19301, Judge John H. Fishel, between the County of York on behalf of the Facilities Management Department and Tanner Furniture, Harrisburg, PA, in the amount of $45,894.08 under a PA CoStarz contract.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve a contract agreement between the County of York on behalf of the Human Services Department and YWCA of York, York, PA, to provide transitional housing services for households experiencing domestic violence for a total cost of $150,914 for the period of 7/1/2023 to 6/30/2024.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve a contract agreement between the County of York on behalf of the Human Services Department and Bell Socialization Services, York, PA, to provide for services within the following cost centers: transitional housing, $138,194; mass emergency shelter, $182,865; rental assistance, $20,000; individual shelter nights at $40,000; community case management, $338,956 for the period of 7/1/2023 to 6/30/2024.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
And Claire, on this one, just for purposes, is this an increase in funding? Has this funding traditionally come every year, and is it holding steady or what? And are there backlogs to these, for these organizations?
Traditional funding comes every year, and it's remained steady.
Okay,
Any further discussion?
thank you.
Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve a purchase between the County of York on behalf of the Facilities Management Department and JWC Environmental, Santa Ana, California, for replacement sewage grinder system, more commonly known as the Muffin Monster, at York County Archives for a total cost of $17,284.95.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to make an agreement between the County of York on behalf of the York County Office of Children, Youth, and Families and the following school districts to establish the allocations between the county and the district for transportation costs related to educational stability for children in foster care per the Every Student Succeeds Act for the period of July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024, and they are as listed in the agenda below.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve a purchase between the County of York on behalf of the District Attorney and Axon Enterprises Incorporated, Scottsdale, Arizona, for a TASER 10 bundle with certification for a total cost of $16,549.80.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to approve an advisory council appointment on behalf of the Area Agency on Aging for Reverend Susan Emmons to serve a 3-year term.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to release funds in the amount of $35,000 to Farm and Natural Lands Trust of York County for the acquisition of a conservation easement of 50.1 plus or minus acres in North Cadorus Township, owned by Kim C. and Marion T. Robb.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Hi, Sean.
I know this might not be as exciting as the Muffin Monster, but I definitely saved that in my Google search for later because I thought you were just making that up as you went, but apparently that's what it's called. So Kim and Mary and Rob are great members of our community. They have a business in West York. They own this property with a historic home on it. Happens to connect to property we call the Beefeater Farm, which then connects to the Lake Club, then connects to the Rockery Road property. We have now over 300 acres of contiguous mixed-use property. As you know, the Lake Club was a highlight of many people's use in Spring Grove. There's no lake there anymore, but there's still a creek that meanders through it, and it's still a venue, and we've preserved that area. So we're glad to add this property. It has a tributary that flows into the Codorus Creek. About a quarter of the property is in ag production, and the remaining portion is a mixed woodland canopy and some wetlands area in addition to that tributary. So thank you for your consideration.
Thanks, Sean. You're
Thanks.
welcome. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion
Thank- Sorry,
Sorry.
just going to thank Sean. Go ahead.
Motion to approve tax refund register 2023-17, authorizing payment of York County real estate tax refunds totaling $554.72.
Second motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve tax refund register 2023-18, authorizing payment of York County real estate tax refunds totaling $972.97.
Second motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve the weekly disbursements for the week of August 9th, 2023, totaling $8,465,071.95.
Second motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve the weekly disbursements for the week of August 16th, 2023, totaling $3,550,515.18.
Second motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There are no executive sessions since our last meeting, and we'll welcome back Claire Dahl to give us an update on the Human Services Block Grant.
Okay, so this, losing my voice here. So this is going to be a pretty high-level overview of human services and specifically the Human Services Block Grant, which directly funds 3 of our different departments, or 2 main departments and 1 smaller section.
Could you just state, I know we have some new folks here, what 3 departments they are?
Yep, I
Okay.
will,
Okay.
sorry. And all of a sudden, I got all choked up talking about human services. So, you know, I like to think of human services, we are here to help people in probably some of the most difficult points of their life. You know, anywhere from our aging office to our, intellectual developmental disabilities office, when a parent, first learns that their kiddo may need some services. And we tend to either be involved in their lives for maybe a short period of time, if it's CYF, conducting, their investigation, or, assisting a family, to, again, being involved with the family for their entire life. Again, going back to intellectual developmental disabilities. A youth with, say, for example, autism, and thank you, and would need services and assistance and case management for their entire life. And, Casey is our administrator for MHIDD, and she could probably speak even more eloquently to that than me. But we are there for people at these different points in their life. So this is just an overview of the different human service departments. Again, not all of these are covered by the block grant. I'll go through them real quick just so, for those of you that may not know, the departments that are connected to human services. We have our Health Choices Management Unit. That's essentially the Medicaid oversight of Medicaid dollars for folks in York County who qualify, as well as working with Community Care, who manages those dollars for us. We have our Mental Health Intellectual Developmental Disabilities Program, which is part of the block grant. We have our Drug and Alcohol Commission, and we have Audrey here. She's the administrator for the York Adams Drug and Alcohol Commission. And when you hear York and Adams, specifically for drug and alcohol, mental health, and our Health Choices program, we're part of what's called a joinder agreement with Adams County. So we assist in providing services to their county for those 3 departments. We then have our Office of Children, Youth, and Families, our Area Agency on Aging, our Youth Development Center, and a newer one, a Community Action for Recovery and Diversion, which is CARD. And that's kind of our connection with the, one of the connections we have with the criminal justice system. So again, these are the 3 different departments that I'll be talking about briefly. I do like to throw in our strategic plan. And I might be a little biased here, but I think Human Services really kind of exemplifies specifically the mission and purpose of building a better York County. We're helping people at those difficult points in their life and helping improve their quality of life. From the time that we meet them to the time that, hopefully they can leave our services. This helps guide us, not just, in our long-term goals, but also in our daily activities. Also like to throw up just kind of our areas of focus for the Human Services Division. Again, strategic planning, making sure that we stay on track, a push right now for leadership development and employee training. And this goes for any type of organization, but training and leadership development is a core foundation of your organization. Of course, employee recruitment and retention. I'll throw a special shout out to Stephanie Deal, who's our Human Resource Manager, who has been helping with that. She's a newer addition to our team and has been doing a great job in getting the word out for the different open positions. And of course, working with stakeholders and partners. And everything that we do is from a trauma-informed approach. So when we look at our Human Services Block Grant, we began participating in this in the fiscal year 17-18. When the state allowed us to go to this model, it freed up the money where we can move it around a little bit more, we can be more flexible. So if we see an area of need where they might need a little more money, if we can pull it from another section within the block grant budget, we can do that. We're not tied down to the cost centers and specific line items as much. When we look at the Human Services Block Grant, we have historically seen some flat funding. There is a slight change in that for mental health. We're looking at a small increase with the governor's budget, specifically for the counties and the mental health base dollars. So I think, what was it, 0.03 at this point? But if you look at over the last decade, that's still, we didn't get that increase before, so at least it's a step in the right direction.
Correct me if I'm wrong, it's since 2008, right?
Correct, yeah, it's been a long time. So our block grant for 22-23, and we expect pretty much, again, with the exception of that 0.03 increase, we don't know exactly what the dollar is going to be at for mental health, but we're about 17.5 million. And that is roughly 5 to 6% of our budget. When we look at mental health and intellectual developmental disabilities, the budget specifically, and let me go back a little bit. So mental health actually has 3 different departments. They have the mental health program, they have the ID program, intellectual developmental disabilities, and they also have early intervention. So mental health and ID are 2 of the areas that are funded by the block grant. So we look at about 12.7 million for the mental health program. And you'll see I listed the priorities. I'm not going to go through each one here, but you will see some common themes. We are focused on our school districts, on how we can better support them. We want to always look for ways that we can be more creative with the dollars that we have to improve our case management. Crisis service expansion has been a significant focus for us, not just in human services, but across the county as a whole, and specifically working with our criminal justice system partners. The Stepping Up Initiative, which is a national initiative it focuses on individuals with serious mental illness who may end up in the criminal justice system, in the prison systems. It's to identify them, provide interventions, and see if we can get them back into the community with the necessary supports. A cool thing for York County, and we tend to lead the way in a lot of different areas, but the Stepping Up Initiative, we're an innovator county. Catherine Gruber, who is with our probation department, along with Casey and her team, have been very proactive in making this happen, along with our two chairs for the Stepping Up Committee, are Commissioner Wheeler and Judge Cook. So, you know, it takes everyone, but it is one of those, I think, initiatives that we really need to be proud of. Also, our co-responder program, which ties into our crisis intervention team training as well. It's all about the crisis services, interacting with folks in the community that may need services that are in a state of crisis, and we can get them to the right services in the community rather than going into the prison system. Our ID system, processing waivers, it's always a priority for Casey and her team. We tend to have long waits for those. That is a Commonwealth issue across the board, but they're always looking at who is the most acute, and if there's acute case, and if there's any significant changes, and the waiver, what that will do is provide different levels of services for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Our York and Adams Drug and Alcohol Commission, again, you'll see school, focusing on our kiddos. Harm reduction is a big focus for Audrey and her team. Post-overdose response with the opioid crisis, you know, how can we help individuals who are using or addicted to opioids or other drugs? Some of the ways that we're trying to help is by supporting certified recovery specialists, individuals typically with lived experience who would be working with an individual who either overdosed or is starting the process for recovery, who can help navigate and support them through the recovery process. Worm handoffs, again, that is handing from one treatment to another. So it could be from somebody maybe they had contact with law enforcement, the CRS gets involved, the certified recovery specialist, and then they're going to the hospital for detox. And then working with our prison systems, both in Adams and York County, on prisoner reentry, specifically with medically assisted treatment and providing some supports when they are released. In our Human Services Division, it's a very small division. It's really kind of Jess and me. Jess Maccabee, she's our Assistant Director. She does a great job with managing the funds. In fact, one of the motions that you had read about Bell Services and the YWCA, that's kind of her strengths, her superpowers within the Human Services Division. Homelessness, food insecurity, food insecurities is what she's really been focused on. Again, those services, or the funding has pretty much remained flat there. I know it was kind of quick, but we have a lot. I know you still have another meeting yet. Is there any questions that you have for me? If you would like the full slide, I can get that to you as well.
I mean, somebody that was here when this was discussed back in 2017, 2018, and the commissioners met with people from the Human Services, different organizations. This was not a consensus decision. There were some people that did not know if the block grant program would work well or not. I know you were at the prison at that time, and I think Michelle Hovis was here, and we had some different personnel in the different departments. I personally think the model works well. It gives us the opportunity to spread money around to different organizations that may need it, the funding and stuff. So my only question is, since your time in the position that you're in right now, and your agreement that this is a good thing that we're doing, because Adams County, if I understand right, did not move into the block grant program. There were a number of counties that did not, but I think we made the right decision. Would you agree with that?
I do. I think that was a good decision by the board at that time. It definitely gives us more flexibility and control over the funding, so we can prioritize it for the needs of our community as they, you know, are different and changing.
Right. Thank you.
Okay.
It looks like you had one more slide.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, how could I
What is
forget
it?
this?
I
Rodney,
forgot it.
so- Thank you, Commissioner.
You're welcome.
So, I know, yes. So, okay, this is a
Oh, the dinner.
little PR for our Youth Development Center. So we have a benefits dinner that raises funds. It goes into the Human Services Fund nonprofit. But the money raised by this goes directly to the kiddos for different programs and supports at YDC. So Heinz Ward was a speaker, I think during our first
It's a long time ago.
dinner, yeah, and he is coming back. From what I understand, he is one of the most probably personable and engaging out of all the different speakers. So and you have to be a Steelers fan, which, I don't know, Rodney didn't consult me on this, so. But no, I know he and Kevin are putting a lot of work into this, so if you have an interest and you want to know more about it, please let me know.
That is
Thank
your
you.
last one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Claire. All right, there's no other business. Open it up for any public comment.
Virginia Schultz, York Township. I'd just like to keep before you, which I realize you already have there because it's on your agenda, allocating funds for things regarding our election. I just have a couple things that I think could be used to improve our elections. I think our schools could be closed that day. I think if there was a countywide closing of schools, there's two big benefits of that. First of all, there would be secure precincts for each of the areas. Some of them do not have precincts, so that there's less than 1,200 in the precinct. Also, we could have the teachers involved with being judge of elections or poll workers would be a good example to their students. Secondly, I'd like to mention about the no excuse ballots and their tabulation. I think they should be transported to the precinct. Why? To verify that the voter who says that they did not vote, indeed, if there is a ballot there that has their name on it, but is fraudulent, that can be cleared up on the spot and they could be given the opportunity to vote. Again, we want to increase voters' confidence. Thirdly, the voter rolls need to be cleaned up. There are too many names on there that they are not residents of the precinct where they are listed. We know we have a very mobile society, and it's hard to keep track of them, but there are people on there who are deceased. So encouraging cleaning up the voter rolls. Having been a poll watcher at the precinct, I saw that there definitely is a lack for training of the personnel who were there doing the tabulation and the scanning. They put people who had never done it before into looking at these ballots and adjudicating them. There's no written procedure. They're talking to each other, giving directions. That needs to be corrected. Now, on a different matter, the school meals that I understand is going to cause a challenge with transporting the children. Maybe not in this county. Thank you. But school could start on time and then they could have breakfast. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay, if I could have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned, and we will move on to salary board. If I could have a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the August 2nd, 2023 Salary Board meeting as submitted. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I will open it up for any public comment. Hearing none, we'll move on to the next motion.
I make a motion to approve the physician's salaries, hours of work, and fringe benefits as provided by existing collective bargaining agreements or as set forth in the York County Employee Handbook or York County Policy Manual for the following departments and row offices as stated below, with no additional benefits or concessions unless otherwise noted.
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I'll open it up once again for any public comment. And it doesn't have the agenda is missing the executive session bullet. So I'll just add that an executive session of the Salary Board was held on August the 14th, 2023, for the purpose of discussing general personnel matters to include discussions on salary modification, job description reviews, and reclassification reviews related to voter registration elections, Veteran Affairs Office, and the Solicitor's Office. Salary Board discussed and received information and advice regarding such matters. The Salary Board did not adopt any policy, procedure, or take any formal action on such matters. Any items upon which action has been requested would have been included as an item or motion on the agenda. If I could have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned, and we have retirement board today.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting held on July 19th, 2023, as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I will open up for any public comment. Okay, on to new business.
Make a motion to include the following vested individual on the monthly annuity payment list as listed below. Cherie L. Montero Lowe, Panrac.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I make a motion to include the following individuals on the monthly annuity payment list as listed below. Craig A. Boblitz, Prison. Rachel A. Black, MHIDD. Patricia A. Colby, CYF. Sheila E. Cook, Sheriffs. Leslie Duralja, Prison. Doris J. Kane, MHIDD. David S. Llewellyn, Prison. Fred Mobus Sr., Prison. Maria L. Stremmel, Prison. Gary B. Wheeler, Prison.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I make a motion to approve the revised retirement summary plan description effective as of July 1st, 2023, which includes better clarification for employees of their retirement plan benefits.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
And Greg, this was done just an update or any meaningful changes in the retirement program?
It's not really any meaningful changes, just better clarification of what was in the summary plan description so people can read it and understand it.
Okay. And this is available to all our employees?
It's on the website for everybody.
Okay.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I make a motion to approve the following revised calculation of retirement class basis effective July 1st, 2023. Any current full-time employee without a break-in service who has accumulated service time under more than one class basis will receive service credit for the better benefit of the multiple class basis codes earned for all their current active service time.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
And just to clarify what you said in this motion, in a little bit simpler in language to the employees.
Well, in the past, when you move between different job descriptions, you could change from either a 180th class to 150th class or 150th to 180th. There were people that were didn't want to take promotions because they would have to go to a lower class for their retirement. So we decided that was unfair, and this was the fairest way to do it, so they will get the better of the classification when they apply for their retirement.
Okay, thank you.
Unless, Cherie, want to add anything else to that, or? Okay, our retirement administrators here.
It was definitely a point of contention with the promotions being taken, going to non-bargaining and having to inherit a promotion taking a step back from that.
And I know we had discussed cases in the past, and I think this is a admirable way to change this and a good move.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I make a motion to approve the following retirement buyback policies: buyback of leave of absence without pay, buyback of military service time, and buyback of previous service time.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Any explanation about this?
All of these motions are on the website also, and explained in great detail. One of the main things we did was make it easier for people to afford to buy back. It used to be you had to pay it in a lump sum. Now they can do it in installments. So there's more people that can afford to do it. Anything else, Cherie?
And most of it was to clarify that now.
Sheree, if you're going to talk, if you could come to the
Yeah.
mic, so please. Thanks. Thanks.
Yes, okay, so actually, most of the changes that were done were just to clarify now that when you buy that back, it'll go under the class code basis that you were
Right.
currently enrolled in. So in that case where the gentleman was taking, now he's in the 150th with this new change, if he were to buy back military time, all of that would go under that new class code basis. So that was just a little blurb added to the end of each of those buyback policies.
Yeah, before, we had to calculate it both ways.
Right. So they offset each other, and we're cleaning up, okay.
Yeah.
Any further
Thank you.
discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Just thank you to Sheree and Natasha, who spent a lot of time working on this. Appreciate their efforts.
Yes.
There were no executive sessions. I'll open it up once again for any public comment. If I could have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone. And just a reminder, if you've experienced storm damage and haven't reported, please do report that to the form that's on the emergency management website. Thanks, everybody.